Okay, Miss Angelina, would you like to start us?
All right. Good evening. Our Socratic Seminar, our question is, how do we design learning experiences that reach all students and get them excited about learning? So our group consists of Andrea, Angelia, Jeremy, Josh, Jerry, and Lasana. So Miss Andrea, you want to begin?
Okay, so the question that we were talking about was how to get kids engaged and excited about learning. And I saw a YouTube video through Engage New York where I watched a teacher who was demonstrating how to get kids to think deeper on a poem that they had read and a quote that they were talking about. And she got the kids to start thinking about questions they wanted to ask concerning the quote and how the quote made them feel. And she broke them out into discussions, and you could hear the kids talking. And then she brought them back together, and she asked them, like, what did you think about? What did you and your partner talk about? So one of the children raised their hand, and they said that they felt like the quote came from their heart, and they felt that it made them feel very moved. And so then that student discussed how they felt and everything, and then they stopped and they said, does anyone else in the classroom have ideas? So that the kids took turns calling on each other. Instead of the teacher doing it, the kids led the question and answer session. And it was really sweet how they were like careful not to speak over each other, and they were very respectful of each other, and you could tell they were excited to talk about the subject. And they went around the room, and it was almost like a Socratic seminar, except it wasn't as formal. And each one talked, and they even kind of disagreed with each other in some points. When it was over, the teacher did a little wrap-up session, and it was, to me, super cool to see how the kids were smiling and engaged, and you could tell they were excited about learning. It wasn't just something that the teacher was just reciting and they were sitting there listening. They were very, very involved, and I felt like that was a good example of something I would like to try one day in the classroom. And I'll pass it on to the next person.
All right.
Can I go next?
Yes, Josh, you may go next.
Okay. I also read a few things. I would like to read this quote to kind of explain why it's important to make sure that we get all these, include everyone in their different learning styles and meet them where they're at. Benjamin Franklin wrote about a philosopher friend of his who used his two legs to determine to whom to avoid acquaintances with more than 200 years ago. In The Deformed and Handsome Leg, Franklin said there's two kinds of people. One always finds the beauty and goods in things and people, and thus is happy and pleasant to be with, while the other always looks for the contrary, and thus is unhappy and unpleasant all the time. Franklin advised that we should stay away from the latter at all costs to determine the kind of people in a stranger. Franklin's friend noted a stranger reacted to his leg. Franklin's friend had one remarkably handsome leg, and the other, by some accident, crooked and deformed. If a stranger at the first interview regarded his ugly leg more than his handsome leg, he doubted him. If he spoke of it, it took no notice of the handsome leg. That was sufficient to determine the philosopher have no further acquaintance with him. So basically what he's saying is if we address the issues and not the student's not always, they don't want to follow us and listen to us because they don't know that we believe in them. If we address their shortcomings or disabilities or whatever it is. And I just thought that that was kind of relevant to what our topic was. But I also read a different article about I want to be a science teacher, and it was access to science for all students. And it talked about getting different size beakers or measuring cups for people with motor skill problems. Get a larger beaker for easier for them to grab instead of having knobs on different instruments. Maybe you get blade handles to make it easier for them to be able to use the microscopes and to do the experiments. You know, um, and provide lab partners who can help manipulate the objects better, help assist. And if you put different groups together, maybe you have a child who is struggling socially. Maybe you make him the group coordinator so that he can kind of coordinate and tell people what to do. If you have somebody that's not a strong reader, maybe they are the ones who um, collect to do the pictures and do visual aids instead of writing and doing that. If you have a strong reader, maybe they're the one that takes the notes in the group and spreads it out. And I thought those were great ideas to use in a classroom. Like I want to be a science teacher, so that hit home for me. And I will pass the baton.
Great, great. I like that, how you stated, what you could do to that everybody is involved in the learning process. It's not just to, one or two individuals, but it's to more individuals. All right. Next we will have Miss Jerry.
Okay. I read a couple of articles too. And the main focus is reading and writing in particular ways of thinking. It's necessary for educators to become equipped with the toolbox of literacy strategies of teaching. Now, where the teacher that I work with, she's always, we have reading lists for each student, and sometimes we give it to the students so they can read to the next students that's not on the reading list. They have to write sentences, and like we have different groups that I think we have 7 groups, and in these 7 groups we tried to teach them the fundamental of reading and writing. And to promote the literacy in the classroom, we need to really capture the student interest and introduce new vocabularies. Like we do it every week. Every week we have like about 5 different vocabulary words that we introduce. And at the like on Fridays, we give them a test. Most of them know it, most of them don't. So we still working with these same vocabulary words every week. I mean, every week until the end of the school year. And we need to have more strategy connected like visual, asking question, determination is important. And we also do, she may get a book, ask question, turn to your partners. We partner up the kids together and we ask them, okay, talk to your partner about what did Miss Tina talk about today. How would you handle this situation? And I know that some students don't always learn the same way, but teachers
Yes.
has to use the technique to ensure that the effective is practice. We have to, because you come with student come to us with can't read, can't barely hold a pencil. So, but we as teachers, well, becoming teachers, has to have that technology to ensure that they get all the help, all the practice that they need.
Yes, that is true. You have different diversities of learning from different students, and I know I can relate because being when I used to be the math tutorer, we had to I prefer doing hands-on with students
Me
who
too.
are lacking skills because they're able to not only see it on paper, but they can also touch it, feel it, and they're able
Right.
to work with it and be able to understand the concept of the skill that they are learning in the classroom. So, and I had a lot of success with those students. And we don't have that program anymore. It was called Voyager, and but they took that program from us, and
And
I didn't like that, but you
yeah,
know,
and they taken a lot of programs, and these kids really need the programs. They
yes,
really do. Like hands on, they really do.
yes, they need hands on because what works, that look like that's what they take away, and what we
That's right.
need, what if they want to learn, get something else. So that, yes, I can relate.
Not, yep. A lot of students learn hands on. Not everybody learns by just
Just
reading and
lecture,
That's right.
being at,
yeah,
yes, just
hands
listening,
on.
like being in a lecture environment. Yes. All right. Jeremy.
All right. So some of the articles I read like, I'm not gonna lie, like 11 of them. But there was a couple that I kind of I agree with like wholeheartedly, that can make education, exciting and engaging for these students. One of them is called the differentiated classroom, responding to all needs of all learners.
Yes.
And essentially what that one was talking about, it emphasizes like tailoring teaching methods to meet the diverse needs of the students that they have. Um, and it's recognizing that like the one size fit all approach may not be effective in today's classrooms. It's based on the idea that students learn differently at a varying paces. That's something I struggle with in school. In certain topics like math, I needed time. Um, you can't just push me out there and be like, you got this long to learn this. I need time. Um, but it's just taking a differentiated approach to like how you teach. If you see kids may need some needs to be met, or if they just need a slower pace, then you as a teacher, you would just work with that. Another one, which I think is cool, is technology integration. It's the 21st century. These kids can't stay off their phones for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
So sometimes the best way to deal with those distractions is to make it relevant to education. Um,
Yes.
the article that I read on that, in fact, it was talking about. Let me pull up the name for you. I had a bunch of notes. All right, so the article is by ooh, Petunda RR. It's a very hard name to pronounce. It's called Transformation Technology and Education. And she was talking about a program at a school, which is cool because we have this program at our school where they use podcasting uh, to help these kids learn certain subjects. Uh, it's exciting because the kids got to pick their own podcast names. Some of them were ridiculous, but they had fun doing it. Um, the topics that they got to pick on, it would be like they would go into groups of two, and each of them would kind of do what we're doing now, but in a podcast form, and they would put it out there. I could listen to it on my way to work if I wanted to. It gives the kids something like they can look forward to doing. It's real exciting. It's real cool, and they're learning at the same time.
Yes.
Um, so those are just the two I picked. The technology one is one that sat with me the most. There's technology everywhere. We can't avoid it. So we got to put that into education.
Yes. True. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are now in this dispensation in time. We just have to get with technology. I'm not a technology person, but I'm taking the time to learn. And believe you me, I've learned in these past 2 years, I can say, more than I ever thought I would ever know. I'm still learning. And you just have to have that desire to want to learn so that way you can benefit, that the children can benefit from the technology, because technology is in the classroom. I mean, now we have the iPad. They gave me an iPad yesterday and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Right. I always have to get somebody to help me work my stuff.
Yes. So you got to set it up, Miss Vaughn. I say set it up. What you mean set it up? So I had to get a Google account, I had to do all of that. So that was, and when the students hear, oh, I can help you, I can show you, that's engaging, and they're not, I'm not the only one learning. but they're teaching me so they can see you can teach as well as be taught, you know. So
Right. And they love to help.
yes, I like to emphasize that, you know, don't think because we are adults that we are not learning. We are learning. We are yet learning, and we're going to continue to learn. All right, Lasana.
Okay. I'm sorry. I had to get where y'all can hear me. I'm in somebody else's place. Okay. The one I read, it was on a mentor thing from TED, and it was from a lady named Miss Alicia. And she talked about 7 key ways of keeping kids engaged in the classroom. And she talked about giving them like hands-on stuff to do. And when you get them hands-on, you know, they'll be more willing to help you. She was talking about, you know, some kids think it's funny when you ask them, you know, like, oh wait, I know something she don't know, you know. So they be so ready to help you. And she was like, a lot of people don't focus on math when it comes to like hands-on stuff to keep kids engaged. And she was telling like different stuff you can use, like physical stuff like blocks and counting beads and geometric shapes and stuff. And she was like, you know, often we don't do those kind of things. Like you can take a puzzle and you can put a puzzle out and get like 2 kids involved in putting a puzzle together. Yes. And have them working together, and it shows them teamwork, and it shows them, you know, they can do math problems with it, they can get engaged with it, they can help each other out. And she was like, it's way of breaking in a shy kid as well. You know, you can put them with somebody that's very talkative and like put the puzzles around, and then they have to ask, you know, the other one like, hey, can I get the square piece or can I get the circle piece? And it gets them engaged. And she was like, if you have a positive relationship with your kids when you're doing that, you know, they feel like even if there's something they don't know, they can raise their hands and be like, hey, can you help me do this? But if you give them like screen or attitude and stuff where they're afraid to ask you anything, even if they don't know how to do something as simple as a puzzle, they're going to be afraid to tell you because they don't know how you're going to handle them asking that question. But when you have it where you are willing to help them out and stuff, they're easier to come to you. They're easy to ask you. They're easy to teamwork with each other. And it makes the classroom more welcoming and warming. Yeah. And she was talking about little artworks and stuff that the kids can do to keep them engaged, and how you can do like one of the things I like that she did was an activity where she got some little tools and stuff, and it was called tool building. And what they did was like she had a little birdhouse, she said she did in her class, and the kids each got to put on a part, and she told them like, without your part, you know, this couldn't be together and stuff. So it told them like everybody matters.
Yes. And that is true. Everybody does matter. No one should be left out, especially when you're in a class. You know, you want all of them. Everybody is in there to learn, not just to be there to sit. Because I have one student that I have in my class. He was actually in an advanced class, and they took him out of the advanced class because he wasn't performing in that class. But what it was, everyone, because he was an advanced student, he scored mastery. He just was a student that was quiet. You know, he could still do the math problems, but not at the fast pace like the other students. When he came, when I got him, they told me, said, well, Ms. Vaughns, you know, he's quiet, he's not gonna do any work, he's not going, everything was negative. And so, you know, and I welcomed him into the classroom, and he began to do work. And I had to call his mom to let her know how well he was doing in the classroom. And she was concerned about that. And she said, but he go, and she said, well, Ms. Vaughns, he come home every day and tell me how he enjoyed class today, enjoyed your class. So that made me feel good. You know,
and I love how you turn that negative into a positive.
Yes, even though they were telling me negative things, he just was one that he cannot, they moving so fast. It's not that he don't know what to do. He understands the concept. He knew what to do. He just was you know, it just was at a slower pace. I'm at a slower pace because I have
but your kindness brought it out of.
Yes. So my article that I read, I actually had several of them, but one that stood out to me was plan learning exercises, plan learning experiences and instruction. And in it, it had it was told by the educators that we have essential questions that we should be asking ourselves as educators. And one particular one was check students' prior knowledge. Find out the prior knowledge of a student. Don't just assume that they know because they don't. You'll learn that through doing pre-test, and we do at the beginning of the year is our they call it our assessment, our first year assessment, so we'll know where they are and we could assess them. We assess them and then we go from there. And the other thing was, what stood out to me was identify a series of specific learning goals and intentions. What are their intentions? What are their goals? Because if you tell them, okay, what do you expect for this year? Do you want to succeed? Do you just want to be at a C level? You want an A level? What grade are you expecting to get? And what do you want? So now I have them jot that down. And so when the progress report comes, then they compare what they have. So you said goals. And the other thing was use where to inform learning events and experiences. So you're asking questions: where and why. How, H stands for hook and hold. E stands for explore and experience, enable and equip. R, reflect, rethink, revise. E, evaluate, work and progress. T, tailor and personalize the work. And O, organize for optimal effectiveness. So when you're able to do that, as well as with the KL, like I said, the learning, what they know, the learnings, the K is called KWL. I think that you will find more about a student when you do that, and you show them that you're genuine. You want them to learn, and that's what engaging, keeping them engaged, and and then they feed off each other. So I have my students in groups, and so they have to, when we do things, and I say, okay, turn and talk to your partner, and we do that, so they're able to, don't ask me, ask your partner first before you ask me. And then I have a card that they could flip, where if they understand it, it stays on green. If they don't understand it or they need help, it goes to yellow. And then red is I don't understand at all. Then they'll let me know that. So so keeping them engaged and being there for them, guiding them, leading them and guiding them is very crucial, especially in this generation. I think is more because of the cell phones and the video games. Because I know coming up, I didn't have that. We didn't have any of that. We had phones, but we didn't have a cell phone. Then I had a rotary dial phone. So so I appreciate the fact that I'm here in this generation learning new things with the technology. The technology is not going anywhere. It's actually going to continue. So I have to keep up to date with everything, so they'll know that Ms. Vaughns, you willing to learn, and I'm willing to learn from them. And I tell them, you learn, you teach me, and I'll teach you, and then we'll all together learn together. And that's how I see things. Anybody else have any input?
I love everything you just said. Like, I'm like, yes.
Yes, we learn it from each other. You teach
Yes,
me, I teach you, and we all learn together.
I want to
Yeah.
do that color thing that you do too, that red and yellow and all that. When they do
Oh
it,
yes,
I'm
I
try
do
that with my
green.
class.
It's actually I just thought about it. I said I should have brought that, but it says I know, I know it. It's three different words that's on there, but it's the green, they know. The red, the yellow is for I need a little help, and the red is I need help. So but I have that on my desk at school. Every student has one on the desk, and all they have to do is flip it. If they have any issues, if they didn't ask their partners, and then I get it, and I'm able to go to them. So I really like that. And actually, other teachers came in my classroom and saw that, and they said, "Oh, we need that. I need that in my classroom."
Yes, because it
Yes,
helps speak volumes for those shy
yes,
kids who are don't want
yes.
to
You're
do
not
it in
going to
Right.
front
say
of
anything.
everybody else.
Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
we have about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
I think we did really good.
Yes.
I think everybody had great input. I liked all the different aspects everybody had.
Yes.
I felt like we had a lot of
Very
different
good.
angles on it, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
from
It's like it all came together at the end because of
it
what I
did.
had. It just pulled all together.
Yes,
So
you
we
just topped
all,
it off.
yes, yes. So
So I'm going to stop recording for a second.
okay.